Phil. We're going to talk to Coop, who's calling in from. Actually, I don't see you place. Oh, New York. There we go. Coop calling in from New York. Coop with they them pronouns. Coop, how you doing?
Doing okay. How are you and Phil doing tonight, guys?
We're doing well. We're doing well. Coop, what do you want to talk to us about today?
I would like to talk to you about some interesting perspectives on my deconstruction from religion to faith and spirituality, and maybe with some thought sauce sprinkled in and throughout.
Okay. Let's hear it. Can you make it brief? Can you make it in like a minute or two for us?
And then we can hash through things, or like that's going to be it.
Oh, yeah, just to talk about, just so we can have a conversation.
My quick thing, So the quick spiel at first, the minute will be, I've been deconstructing and I've been thinking a lot. I don't know how much you remember from the couple conversations that we've had so far.
Yes, your voice is very familiar to me.
Yeah, and I called in as Cooper. So, anyway, so. You said, hey, Cooper, if you need to pray, go ahead and pray.
Yes.
And I had thought a lot about that. And I was thinking, why did Dan say that to me if Dan is an anti-theist who doesn't believe in God? And I was thinking, was he thinking, well, once he finds out how many prayers go unanswered, that'll be his answer. And then, I was thinking, and then today I'm thinking, maybe I can pray, but just not to any specific god or gods or deities. And just it's the thought that counts. It's the sentiment, not any spiritual nature or supernatural force behind it. I can still
That's exactly right.
pray. I can still wish.
I like it.
I can still hope.
Yes. You 100% can. Coop, just sorry to interrupt you. I just want to point out, anti-theist. I don't know if that's a label I super agree. I mean, maybe kind of. I definitely have some anti-theist sentiments. I don't know if that fully describes my worldview, but I think I sympathize with.
I will grab that moniker from you.
Phil's like, yes, hardcore. Give it to me.
Yeah.
Coop, can I ask you a question as someone new to your story?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
If you were praying, and maybe it doesn't even apply anymore, but when you used to pray to a deity, I'm assuming there was a specific one that you prayed to. Did you think that deity could do anything and knew what was best for everybody?
At first I did. Yeah.
Okay.
At first.
And that's not now.
No.
Okay.
Now I'd say I'm not certain, and I don't know why he doesn't, and maybe he can't.
So then I guess not so much for the Cooper or the Coop that we have today, because I like what you're doing here. So I want to be really nice and make sure that you understand. For a moment, I'm going to take a side and talk about somebody else. But for people that think there's a deity that has a plan and knows everything, when you as an individual pray and ask for something, who do you think you are? I mean, boy, that's the arrogance to think that there's an all-powerful deity that can make the entire universe, and he has a plan, and you're going to ask him to change it for your benefit. And like I said, Coop, that's not you. So I just wanted to share that while I was thinking about it. But my apologies for bringing it up when you're here, because I like what you're doing. I like what you're thinking.
Bill, you know something though? I'm not one of those, when I came up, I had the whole born again saved experience in a church, and they really, when they started out, they seemed really sincere, but then they got in the whole rabbit.
Yeah, it can be rough. I know. I don't know if we lost Coop. You still with us?
Yeah, Coop, you still there? Sound like you might have dropped out.
It sounds real quiet, so that's okay. If we get him back, that'd be great. But years ago, Dan, I don't know if you knew this. I was on the board for a church school.
No, I did not know about this.
Really? And I was a closeted atheist. And I tell you what, if you believe in God, if you believe in your church, what you can do to get over that is join the church board. You're on the church board of directors. The lies that you will hear, the deceit that you will experience, it is, kind of like the list of all the sins people aren't supposed to do. People that are running a church are the worst, absolute worst. The
I
lies,
believe
the
it.
deceit, the backstabbing, the all of it's there. And of course, by the way, if you really want to steal money or launder money, a church is the place to do it, because no one counts that. Your plates are going by and you pick up a wad of bills and shove them in your pocket, or you're one of the collectors, put money. There's so many cases where people do this in churches, and ministers do this, priests do this. And you think to yourself, well, if they're no better than the average human, what value does Christianity bring? Because they say it teaches morals. No, it doesn't. I once saw a debate with Stephen Fry and Christopher Hitchens called Intelligence Squared, where they were talking about the rape of children to a couple of people who are Catholic. And one of the Catholic people said, well, we didn't know that doing that was bad for kids back then.
Ugh, gross.
Really? You
Yeah.
you didn't know that was a bad thing? Well, then
Right.
what are you for? What's the
Right.
purpose of this organization other than
I thought
sheltering pedophiles?
morality was objective. I thought you knew. Doesn't it not
Yeah.
tell you things that are right or wrong? And if it doesn't, why did that change suddenly?
And I'll go one step
Yeah.
further, Dan, and this is not
Yeah.
Dan's opinions. It's mine. With what we know publicly about the Catholic Church and other organizations like that, and how they cover up and hide the rape of innocent children, if you are still giving money to one of those organizations, you are complicit. You're part of the problem. You're funneling money into an organization that does that. Stop it.
No, I'll co-sign on that, Phil. I don't know if anti-theist fits me. Anti-church, though, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's fine.
Fair enough.
The reason why I quibble with the anti-theist thing is just because I just don't like putting people down too much. I want people to, I don't know. It's a people thing. I try to be someone who wants to be as approachable to others as possible. And if making myself anti-theist means I'm going to put people in a hierarchy, I'd like to try to avoid that as much as possible.
And I think you can be an anti-theist. My dream is that I'm an anti-theist and I try to very carefully to separate the beliefs versus the person. Yes. Always respect the person, always 100%. Love the person. And sometimes I'll explain it to a Christian when they'll say, hate the sin, not the sinner.
Right.
Which complete shit, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely garbage.
But they'll understand when I make the analogy to them that I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about what they believe.
Absolutely.
In Florida, we get a lot of door-to-door solar panel salespeople. It's weekly. I had a guy come by. My new trick is I open the door and I step outside real quick, and then I slam the door shut behind me. And so, because people stand now back 5 or 6 feet from the door because of COVID, right?
Yeah.
So now I walk out into their space, and how can I help you? And the guy says, I'm here with so and so solar panel company. Yeah. And I said, Did you not see my roof? It's right behind me here on the house. There's already solar panels up there, dude. And he goes, well, you could add more. And we're talking for a minute or two about solar panels. And he goes, I'm a Mormon.
Oh my gosh.
And I said, oh, dude, don't do that. And he goes, what do you mean don't do that? And I said, no one could possibly take you serious when you claim that you're a Mormon, because that religion is so trivially, easily falsifiable that no one would take you serious and buy solar panels from you. And he said, can you say that again? I said, I can. Mormonism is so easily and trivially falsifiable that no one would buy solar panels from you. And he looks at me and he goes, don't you think that's offensive? And I said, from your perspective, I could see how it is, but I'm doing this to help you. And he goes, how is that helping me? I said, imagine we're on the top of a 10-story building and you're walking to the edge of the building and you're about to walk off because you believe it's okay to do so. And at the last minute, I stop you. I'm protecting you. I care about you. I'm telling you that what you believe is false and it's going to harm you. I'm doing the same thing here. And I have to be very clear and very direct that what you believe is false and it's going to hurt you. Not because I'm trying to be a dick, although I have my moments. But because I'm trying to speak in a way that opens your eyes, opens your mind to a different way of discussion to make sure that you understand that what you believe in has the potential of harming you, and you need to find a different way to live your life.
I think we got Coop with us back here. Coop,
Yay.
are you on the line?
Hey. Yeah,
Hey, Coop.
I am here.
Awesome.
Am I audible to all?
You are audible to us. Coop, you got any thoughts on that? Phil had some thoughts.
I didn't have any thoughts on that. I had some more. I mean, yeah, I did have some thoughts on that, but I kind of wanted to get back to the main point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Addressing me about earlier.
Talk about it.
Phil, I just spent as far as like what most, I wasn't usually praying for what most people in the church I found were praying for. Like when usually I found people mostly praying for their own needs, I was mostly just praying for world peace, people to laugh more, people to have more joy and hope in their lives, that sort of thing.
I love your intention. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, Coop, and I'll say this, right? You thought it was interesting because I, as a non-believer, is straight up telling you, yeah, if you feel like you got to pray, you got to pray. And the reason why I tell you that is exactly for what you thought. It's because you're a human being first, more than anything. And religious beliefs are not just these philosophical yes, no, black and white binary propositions that we accept as either true or false. That's just not how human beings are. That's how it works on paper, but the reality is messy, right? Some of it is habit. Some of it is just like habits of thought, for example, right? Like when I was deconstructing my own religious faith, I remember still having nightmares about like going to hell and thinking that was a sign that God was telling me I need to turn back on my path. I thought that way because I was conditioned to believe that, right? And when I'm praying, God, can you just show me a sign that you're real? I was conditioned to like ask God for things, right? Like that was my upbringing more than anything. That was, and even though I had intellectually sort of like distanced myself from that, there was still a very visceral part of me that maybe even wanted it to be real because of that comfort it gave me and because of that ability for me to be what I thought was a normal person, which in America, it is being Christian, right? Most people in America are some version of Christian. And to leave that is a very scary thing for a lot of us, especially if you don't have any sense of community, which is what I didn't have for a little while. So yeah, if you're deconstructing and you're like, I just feel like you need to pray, you're not hurting anybody by doing that. I really don't think so. And if that's part of your process, I don't think you should feel ashamed for thinking that, right? So I'm glad that that was helpful for you because I do honestly believe that.
Right. Hello?
Yeah. Coop, can you hear us?
Yep.
Any thoughts?
Yep, I can hear you. The phone cut out just for a moment, momentarily.
Gotcha.
No, but some interesting perspectives on what you just said, Dan. Yeah, I've been praying and just praying that people would just laugh a little more and have a little more joy in their lives and wishing and hoping. I don't think there's anything really truly wrong with that because it's all about the intent of the heart.
No, I don't think so. It's only wrong. It's only wrong, Cooper, if you're replacing that with action, right? If you're saying, I'm not going to listen, I know that this bad thing just happened to you and I know you need money. I'm going to pray for you instead, right? Like, that's a no-go, right? Give that person money if you feel obliged, right? That's going to help them in the long run than just the thoughts. But again, I don't think those intentions are bad within themselves. I really don't. But maybe Phil feels differently. Phil, do you feel the same way?
No,
or are you just like
good.
fuck it, just burn it down?
If it makes you feel good, if it relieves stress, if it makes you feel hopeful and optimistic, fantastic. But I do like Dan's point that if someone's in need, I see a distinct line between helping and praying, but that's just me.
Yeah.
But you don't think, I mean, yeah, definitely if someone's in need, we should help them. But like at the same time, I mean, but even if we're just praying, or like, you don't see that as a betrayal of our agnostic atheist sensibilities and ways? Betrayal
to who, Coop? Who am I betraying? The God I don't believe in?
Our own, like, it's kind of, no, we're not betraying the God. It's kind of like Polonius to his son Laertes. and above all else, to thine own self be true.
I see it more as
I don't believe that prayer works.
Yeah, as a form of meditation. It just depends on when you say you believe it works. You believe it works for who? Because what you just said, for example, if someone had, let's say, a car accident and hit their head really hard, and you happen to be a bystander, and you said, wow, I could call paramedics right now, but I believe in the power of prayer, and I'm going to pray that that person that hit their head in their car gets well. Now it's a problem. Now we're going to have words. And so the question is, do you believe that would work? Now, if you just kind of want to go down a list, kind of like what sometimes I call a vision board. Here's the things that I want. Here's how I want to help people. And you recite those to yourself or out loud or in quiet to the universe. And that helps you focus and do more of the things that you want to do. Dude, I'm all for it.
Yeah. This is interesting because you got to think about this, Coop. Prayer, even in Christianity, has an interesting and diverse history, right? Prayer is not meant the same thing at all times. In the New Testament, there's this kind of narrative, especially with John, where Jesus is like, ask and you shall receive, right? It's literally an asking of God. But that hasn't always been true for what people considered prayer. The Eastern Fathers, for example, the Desert Fathers, sort of thought prayer as this kind of meditative practice. They instructed monks to be like, okay, you need to like look at this verse and just reflect on this one verse for like the next hour in your mind. And this contemplative practice was a kind of prayer, right? And that kind of practice, I think, again, is fine if that gets something out of it for you, even if it is the Bible. I'm not saying that everything in the Bible is bad. Most of it is, but like there's one or two good things. I mean, if that helps you, I want you to be helped. I don't care whether you think there's some supernatural or metaphysical elements to it. Obviously, I don't believe that's true, but I don't think you're attributing supernatural or metaphysical elements to it. I think you're just saying this is a thing that helps me, right? And so as long as you're honest about that, I don't think you're betraying yourself in any way. I think you're realizing you're a human being with a kind of psychology that's going to, help yourself the best by doing that kind of practice. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, it most certainly makes sense. Yeah, definitely a lot. Seems very logical and reasonable. But here's one thing in my deconstruction that I've been dealing with lately, and I was talking about this within the context of an RFR support group the other night. And I said, listen, what if my indoctrination and beliefs were so systemic that maybe I just can't get faith and believe out of my mind, and forever I'm just going to be dealing with this level of cognitive dissonance where I see that atheism and agnosticism and anti-theism are the most reasonable and logical answers, and that this world was merely just a happenstance and a fluke of natural physics or whatever you want to call it, just a natural fluke, and we should just be all glad and thankful that we're all here, and we only get one life to live, and that's it,
Sure. I think just live your best life, learn, grow, change. And if there's things that you struggle with, you are not alone. I'm delighted that you're with RFR. You can also find out if they can maybe provide you a reference to Dan, the name escapes me. There's a group of people that help people walk through things and talk through things.
I believe he mentioned it.
Secular Therapy Project?
Yeah, there's Secular Therapy Project. Yeah.
See, now you can be on the show, man. You know all this stuff already.
That's right.
You talk through things, and so many people on this planet struggle with things all the time. And quite honestly, if your biggest struggle is a little bit of cognitive dissonance in that you want to pray, but yet you don't think it really does anything, and there's not a deity out there, dude, you're doing good. You're doing really good. There's a lot of people with worse problems. Embrace that. Just try to live your best life. Try to help people. Try to improve. Try to learn more. And I'd like to meet you. I think you're doing it right, dude. You're questioning. You're just learning.
Yeah,
that's all. There's no hurry.
Jeez, Bill. I appreciate that. See, I've catched a lot of your stuff, and I've always appreciated it, by the way. I like your stuff. Appreciate it.
You're very
Well,
kind. Usually I'm the one the asshole, so I'm delighted.
Yeah.
One last thing, Coop, and then we got to let you go. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Maybe you could comment on it. I'll rewatch the show. But what would you say if I told you I was like about how it's not reasonable, faith is not reasonable or logical, yet I'm a willing and reluctant faith-going person?
I think that just means you're a human being.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think you have to.
No,
you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself.
I was a freak.
I feel like, Coop, that's not a freak.
No.
That is the most human thing you could possibly do. Are you kidding me? Look, okay, so I think you would be, and first of all, I'm not a professional. This isn't advice. I think you'd be a great candidate for cognitive behavioral therapy, because the thoughts that I'm hearing you express to me, that sounds like anxiety, right? That sounds like an attitude of wanting to do things the right way, and you're unsure of the best way to approach it, and it's causing this paralysis for you. I think maybe some existential therapy and some cognitive behavioral therapy might be good to help with some of those thoughts, because I don't think this is a question of philosophy. I think this is a question of psychology here. Are you in a good enough place to even be thinking about some of this stuff, right? I have no doubts in my mind, Coop, that you are a good person and that you're doing the best that you can with your life, just based on the few conversations I've had with you. I don't know that for sure. You could be a serial killer for all I know, but I don't think that's likely. I think you are
I'm not a
person
serial
who,
killer, and if I was, I'd be Dexter.
I think you think seriously and thoughtfully about your beliefs, and you want to make sure you're doing the right thing. And I think that's a noble characteristic to have. I just think you need to quell those anxieties you're having so that you can live a happy and productive life, because you're going to have the rest of your life to think about a lot of these questions, and you don't have to have the answers right away, because these are all questions that we all have to deal with and all have to answer ourselves in our own time. Does that make sense, Coop?
That definitely makes sense. And this Christmas,
I hope so.
I'll be bringing some Christmas sauce.
All right. Sounds good.
Coop.
Yeah, I unironically mean this. Give me your thoughts and prayers, Coop. Give me your thoughts and prayers today, okay? But I do got to let you go, because we got other callers that want to talk to us.
Hey, world. Hey, everyone. World, just laugh a little more. Kick your feet up. Laugh a little more.
There you go.
Take a break. Take a break. Take a hot bath. Take a hot shower.
Thank you. Coop, you're now Truth Wanted's official chaplain. Thank you for giving the Truth Wanted prayer. I appreciate that. I will let you go. Thanks again, Coop. Hope you have a good one.
I tell you what, if everyone thought like he did, or it's not necessarily what he's thinking, but how he's thinking.
Yes.
I'd have to find a new hobby instead of bashing religion, because I think we'd all be in a better place, because I am concerned, genuinely concerned, that religion is a net negative to our probability of survival as a species. That we have so many problems that we can fix, but we fight and argue over things that we shouldn't fight and argue over, that are so straightforward and obvious. And I think religion just pretends to help us out, and it doesn't. So
sure. Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah. I think that some of those great quandaries that Coop is having have been explored in both religious and secular modes of thinking. And I think that there's lots of great literature you can find, particularly in this. And it sounds like you want to go the secular route. Okay, that's great. Look at Jean-Paul Sartre. Look at, Simone de Beauvoir. Look at, every great thinker of the 20th century that's like wrestling with this stuff, and you can do that in a secular way. If you're worried about this idea of faith, go back as early as Soren Kierkegaard, who's like the closest thing you can be to like a secular Christian, and see his ideas of faith. There's a lot of people who have really thought this stuff through, and maybe your pathway of thinking it through maybe has been explored. Maybe there's some answers that you just haven't found yet. So this anxiety that I'm hearing of, just like, what if I never figure this out? Dude, you don't know everything, man. There's a lot of stuff out there, and we're just two goofy dudes with microphones. I don't know what we know, but
Dan, it's a funny thing. And I have, a different opinion than a lot of professional atheists on philosophy. The philosophical arguments that we're having today, and they always would say, the arguments for the existence of God and these arguments, they haven't changed in 3 or 4 or 500 years. I do agree with that part.
Yeah.
But when I look at physics, astronomy, chemistry, biology, genetics, medicine, that has changed. That's where the value is. I don't place a whole lot of value on philosophy. I don't want to have an argument with somebody that has happened a million times over the last 500 years and still not produced any value.
Yeah.
Why do that? Let's do something productive. Let's find a way to feed more people. Let's find a way to get more people in nice shoes. Let's find a way to have safe drinking water around the world. Let's
find a way to get more people to buy cryptocurrency.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Phil Coin, by the way. No.
No, I agree with that, Phil. There is so much to life that can be done completely void of sort of religious thought, right? I mean, it's been said before and it'll be said again.